All right. Hello, everyone. I made a PowerPoint with some images on different mug ideas that I just was really just pulling off the internet to look at. I'm sitting outside, so you might hear some squirrels chirping and stuff. I hope that isn't too annoying. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. All right, so this is just some mug ideas. So we're going to start looking at a really common design, something that I find to be really popular within the ceramic design world. I I've worked at quite a few studios and see people commonly recreating mugs that look like this. So there usually is some like raw clay body that is coming through at the bottom, and the glaze application is a speckled glaze, like a smaller handle, disproportionately smaller to the mug, and a really kind of thinner walls and a simple rounded bottom without a foot or anything like that. So yeah, this is something that you could pick up probably from IKEA or Starbucks or something. And quite personally, I find it to be really minimal and pretty straightforward. I mean, you could still get some really good use out of it, but just a little simple contemporary design aspects are going into how this mug is made. So I definitely would recommend that you make your mugs from slabs. Yeah, I want you to make a series of them. So coiling them is going to be really difficult for time. Slabs will be easy to work with as far as considering time, and it also will be funner for you probably to create a series. Have a little bit more control. So this is a mug, but it doesn't have a handle. I am asking that you try to put on handles onto your mugs. The way that you create a handle is by pulling. I think that this entire mug is all made from slabs. I don't think there was any pulling that was done in this slab here that created the handle, but I do think that the artisan that made this did a really good job controlling the slab. They created the rectangular shape from slab and then let that shape dry a little bit and then attach that shape on. And then as you can see, this is made from a slab, and it has this really nice accent where it's overlapping onto itself. And also there isn't a foot. Um, Normally mugs don't really tend to have foots anyway, or feet anyway, so you don't have to worry about that so much. Another similar design concept where where actually the slab is rolled over and attached, where you can see the seam of the slab coming over the the other part of the slab here. So where it's attached, the slab's attached, as you can see. And then this also has some really nice decorative elements. So I think that this artisan took slabs and used stamps to create these textures with also a little bit of slip trailing. So stamps and slip trailing, and these handles were also pulled as well. Also, these mugs are almost maybe not actually mugs, like they look like they could be steins. A stein is generally used for drinking like mead or beer and are a little bit larger with a wider base and uh, a more narrow top. And you are welcome to make you're welcome to play with that concept of like mug versus a stein versus a teacup. You doesn't have to be a mug. You can play with, it could be a soup mug, which are generally bigger mugs. All of this is really free range for you. Um, So I was talking about how normally a lot of the times ceramic mugs tend to have handles that are pulled. So this is like a really cool kind of sculptural style mug where the artisan took pulled a snake shape and attached it to um, this this cup here. I do believe that this cup, it looks like it's thrown to me because of the continuity of it. But you still can get this continuity with slabs. It just takes understanding of, I always talk about compression and moisture and stuff like that. So this is really cool. Pulled snake body that's attached and going on the inside of the mug, which like that's a really cool design concept, is placing something on the inside of mugs. I don't know if you've ever seen that, where you can drink from a mug and then there's like a little tiny sculpture on the inside. You can play with that kind of idea. These are slab built mugs with a really simple design concept that feels really continuous throughout the entire series. There's a series of 6, and the artist is working with pattern, black and white, negative space, and doing these curly Q handles. So you could watch the pulling demonstrations. You get a lot of water. You make these long cylinders and then you cut them and then you can dry them out into the shape. When they hold that shape, then you can attach them onto the mug, the slab mugs that you build. That's an idea there. I pulled this photo off the internet. I thought it was like really informative in a lot of ways, kind of seeing the sort of like in studio action shot of mugs in their greenware state. And one reason I like it is, you might be finding that your pieces are sticking to maybe the wooden bases or the canvas or the cardboard that you all are working on. And so just simply using some newspaper lying around, you can put your wet work on top of these newspaper slices. And that way it can make it easy for you to pick up your mug while you're working on it. I also like this photo because it shows how these artists are using sponges, just like a common sponge in the studio, as a leverage, as a stilt to hold up these wet pulled handles while they dry. So as you can see, these handles are relatively highly placed on these mugs. And so all of that extra space for the gravity to exist and go down, they just put in, you can use a sponge. You can also gather up a little piece of clay and stick it in here. You can always use clay to help you hold up different components of any of your work anytime that you work with clay. So little helpful hints on using stilts, on using newspaper. Just always feel free to get creative with your engineering. So I found this mug off the internet. One thing that I thought that was a fun idea was they had this artisan found this crystal that they thought was really cool and wanted to add it into their mug as a way to help develop the design a little bit further. And I think it's really cool. Like you can grab something and this would be glued on afterwards. So this piece obviously went through the bisque firing and it's glazed. It has that nice vitrified, glossy, glassy blue. And then the artist just used a crystal that they found and kind of place clay around it so that it would fit like a lock and key. And then afterwards would just glue this diamond into, or excuse me, this crystal into the, like where the thumb rest of the handle would be. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I like this photo because I, I think that there is some fun that you can have with like considering gluing something that could be like food safe and lasting. So I like that. But then there's also some like criticisms that I have with this mug. I think the handle works and the handle looks strong. And I don't even really mind the all the fingerprint prints and like the handmade looking type of quality of this. But one thing that I would find really problematic with this mug is that it might be really sharp. These edges might be really sharp to drink out of. So that's something to consider. You really want to, as you're working on your piece and it's drying, you want to put like maybe get like your sponge wet with 10% water and go over where your mouth touches the lip of the mug so that you can actually use this later on and not be like too careful while you're drinking it. Like you don't want to think about these things while you are using any sort of functional ceramic work. It should be ergonomic and and safe as well. So I want you to do a series of mugs. They don't have to all be exactly like one another. You can have a lot of fun with it. And you can really switch up the design by each mug. But as something exists as a series, there is some sort of continuity within all of the pieces. So this series is made these like anthropomorphic bearded kind of men faces were put into these mugs, and each mug has a different shape, each mug has a different handle, but each mug has the same type of theme going throughout it. So you really can get like super creative with it and just really have fun decorating it and take it into a direction that is fun for you. You can you can even lean on like these mugs are a way more sculptural representation as to just a super functional representation like the first mug that I showed you. And then I guess we'll so like here's another series like each I think each form looks about the same, but obviously the design is really different. The decoration application is really different for each of them. And then as I showed you in the series too, not every handle looks exactly the same. Not every mug looks exactly the same, but there is a strong design concept of pattern that works throughout each mug. So that is something to keep in mind. And I hope that that was helpful. And please have fun while you do this. Give yourself time. Remember that pulling handles, you're going to use a lot of water in your handles. And I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to go about pulling a handle, but you're going to have to be pretty in tune with watching your handles dry if you do the really wet pulling method. So yeah, that's it. And good luck. And let me know if you have any questions.